relax for a moment. Grab a coffee or tea or whatever helps you slow your breathing just enough to listen. And if you enjoy these long, curious dives into uncomfortable ideas, make sure to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and share it with someone who enjoys questioning things that feel a little too close to home. Now, I want you to think of a number. Not your age, not your birthday, not a lucky number. A number you've probably already seen. It might be written in a medical chart, or hidden inside a research paper, or quietly calculated by an algorithm you didn't know was watching you. This number doesn't tell you when you will die, but it does something stranger. It tells you how close you are. And here's the unsettling part. For millions of people, this number already exists. Let's start with something simple. Life expectancy. You've heard it before. The average life expectancy is X years. It's quoted in news articles, policy debates, insurance brochures. It feels abstract, statistical, harmless. But life expectancy isn't a prediction. It's a post-mortem average. It tells you how long people lived, not how long you will live. So researchers wanted something better. They wanted a way to estimate biological aging, not chronological age. Because two people can both be 40 years old, while one has the body of a 30-year-old and the other has the body of a 60-year-old. Same age, very different futures. This led to a deceptively simple question. What if aging leaves a measurable signature? Not wrinkles, not gray hair, something deeper, something molecular. In the early 2010s, scientists studying epigenetics noticed something strange. As we age, certain chemical markers on our DNA change in consistent patterns. These markers don't alter your genes, but they affect how those genes are expressed. Think of your DNA as a massive instruction manual. Epigenetic markers are like sticky notes saying, read this section less, or ignore this chapter. Over time, those notes accumulate, and crucially, they accumulate at predictable rates. By analyzing these patterns, researchers developed what's now called an epigenetic clock, a model that estimates your biological age based on DNA methylation patterns, and it's terrifyingly accurate. In many cases, it can predict mortality risk better than traditional health metrics like cholesterol, blood pressure, or BMI. But this was just the beginning, because once you can estimate biological age, you can compare it to chronological age. And the difference between them? That's where the number appears. If your biological age is higher than your chronological age, your body is aging faster than expected. If it's lower, you're aging more slowly. This difference is often called age acceleration, but that name doesn't do it justice, because studies have shown that even a few years of accelerated aging dramatically increases your risk of heart disease, cancer, neurodegeneration, and early death. Not metaphorically, statistically, which means there exists a number, sometimes expressed as a decimal, that correlates with how soon you are likely to die relative to your peers. Now, pause, because at this point you might be thinking, okay, but this is just population-level science. No one is calculating this for individuals. Except they are. Insurance companies have been using proxy versions of this logic for decades. Actuarial science is essentially the art of predicting death at scale. Age, sex, occupation, habits, location, all feed into risk models. But epigenetic clocks change the game because they don't ask what you do. They measure what has already happened to you. And these clocks keep getting better. Newer models don't just estimate biological age, they estimate phenotypic age, which correlates even stronger with mortality. Others estimate pace of aging, how quickly your body is deteriorating right now. This is where things get uncomfortable, because once you can estimate pace, you can project forward, and projections create numbers. Numbers that don't say you will die on this date, but numbers that say, compared to someone like you, your risk is higher, or lower, or accelerating. And humans are very bad at dealing with probabilistic mortality. We either ignore it or obsess over it. But the story doesn't stop with DNA. Let's talk about something you interact with every day: your phone. Your phone tracks your movement, sleep patterns, typing speed, reaction time, and even subtle changes in how you scroll. On their own, these data points seem meaningless, but together, they form a behavioral fingerprint. Researchers have discovered that changes in typing rhythm can indicate early-stage Parkinson's disease. Variations in speech patterns can predict cognitive decline. Reduced mobility patterns correlate with depression, cardiovascular risk, and increased mortality. Which means without ever taking a blood test, your devices can infer how your body and mind are changing, and they already do. Not to predict death directly, but to optimize engagement, advertising, and risk scoring. Now imagine combining these streams: biological age from DNA, behavioral age from devices, medical history, environmental exposure, stress indicators, sleep debt. Feed it into a sufficiently advanced model. What do you get? Not a death date, but a death gradient, a slope, a curve, a number that moves as you live your life. Go through a period of intense stress, the number shifts. Improve your fitness, it shifts back. Get sick, it spikes. This number is not destiny, but it's not meaningless either. And here's the part no one likes to talk about. You might never see this number, but institutions might. Employers already use health risk assessments. Insurers adjust premiums dynamically. Governments model population mortality in real time. None of this requires telling you the result. So in a sense, your future health trajectory can be known without your knowledge, which leads to a philosophical problem. If a system knows you are statistically likely to die sooner than average, does that change how it treats you? And if it does that make the prediction come true? This is called a self-fulfilling feedback loop. If you're flagged as high risk, you might get fewer long-term opportunities, less investment, more scrutiny, more stress, which increases risk, which reinforces the model. Now, zoom out. Humans have always tried to predict death: oracles, astrology, palmistry, life tables. But those were symbolic. What's different now is that prediction is mechanistic, mathematical, unemotional. The model doesn't care if you're afraid. It just updates the number. And here's the most unsettling part. You've probably already encountered this number in disguise. Ever taken a health age test? Used a fitness app that says you're younger or older than your actual age? Seen a wellness score, a readiness score, a risk score? Those are simplified versions, friendly interfaces for something much colder underneath. Now let's address the obvious question. Does knowing this number help? Sometimes. Studies show that people who learn they are biologically older than expected often improve health behaviors, exercise more, quit smoking, sleep better. But others respond with fatalism. If the number is bad, they think, why bother? Which is why many researchers argue these metrics should never be shown directly to individuals. But that creates another problem. Who gets to know? Because if the number exists and it's accurate, not knowing doesn't protect you. It just makes you unaware. And awareness has always been humanity's double-edged sword. We want truth until truth makes us uncomfortable. So let's return to the title of this video. This number predicts your death. That's not entirely true. It predicts risk, probability, trajectory. But in a world governed by probabilities, trajectories are powerful. Airplanes don't crash because of destiny. They crash because of accumulated risk factors. So do people. And somewhere, right now, there are models quietly updating estimates about millions of lives. Not with malice, not with intent, just math. So the real question isn't whether a number like this exists. It does. The question is what we do with it. Do we use it to intervene earlier? To design healthier societies? To reduce suffering?
Or do we let it become another invisible sorting mechanism, quietly shaping outcomes? Because once you realize that your future can be estimated as a moving number, you start to see the world differently. Your habits, your stress, your sleep, not as moral choices, but as inputs. And that can be empowering or terrifying, depending on how much control you believe you have. If this made you pause, if it made you reflect on how science, data, and mortality intersect, take a moment to like the video, share it, and leave a comment. Because the most unsettling thing about that number isn't that it exists, it's that it's changing right now.